Joining us this morning is Crawford County Commissioner, Mr. Scott Schell. Sir, good to see you this morning.
Good morning.
How you been?
Very well, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Always a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's good to see you. I guess we'll start by just kind of catching us up on what you guys have been working on.
Okay. Well, at the present moment, we're still working with it's called the P25 radio system. It's an updated system for emergency transmissions in our county that would entail fire, EMS, and police, along with other side agencies such as the sheriff's office, the coroner's office. It's just an advanced system of communication that we hope works well. We're presently looking at that. The cost is quite high. It's into the millions of dollars. But we're presently looking at a couple different options to bring that price down. But undoubtedly that system will have to go into effect sometime here in the future because the present system, which works just fine, the UHF system, the ultra-high frequency system, works okay at the moment, but eventually that's going to fade out a little bit due to the fact that the present system is many years old.
Yeah.
So those are things we're looking at, but we're just trying to get a better price on how we cover this for everybody. So.
And I think you guys have been to various meetings, the COG and others addressing this or bringing this up. Are you looking for help from neighboring partners in the county, or is it just something that you guys are taking on?
It's pretty much going to be a county project due to the fact that the county's going to have to acquire the money to make sure everybody's covered with this. We got to face facts. We have a lot of small volunteer fire departments out there that don't have the money to upgrade their equipment. We're going to have to provide that for them. Radio equipment's not cheap, but we need to treat everybody fairly and make sure that everybody is able to go on the system at the same time when that occurs.
You're obviously somebody who has been in this field, so you know the importance of this. But for those who might not understand this new technology, what makes it better, and how is that going to help everybody here in Crawford County?
That will cover areas. We have several areas in Crawford County right now that have no radio reception. Okay, we have emergency calls going on that the emergency units can't talk to the 911 center, and we have several different frequencies we can pick from, and majority of the time you can find a frequency to talk back to the dispatch center. But we have called dead zones right now in our county, and this should alleviate that.
Okay.
So that's what we're looking for right there.
And anything in this kind of field, like every second matters, right? It's important to make sure that you are up to date and you have this technology available.
Well, you mentioned that every second counts, and it does. There are routine calls in the county every day that you don't have to be in such a hurry to get to, but there are other life-threatening situations that, and if you're the one that needs that service, you want people there as quick as possible.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword, actually. The people that need the help complain to the emergency services, what took you so long to get here? And the people who watch the firefighter drive by at a high rate of speed complains, the guy driving too fast. So, yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you, you want to keep going down rabbit holes here, but when it comes to this topic and you have, let's say, an ambulance service that has to travel from their community, 15 to 20 miles to another area because there's no coverage or there's, staffing issues, it really starts to pile up.
And it does. That's one of the big problems facing Crawford County right now is even though there are several ambulance services in our county, you're not guaranteed an ambulance in a timely fashion in our county. That is a fact because there are ambulances that have to cover territories 15 and 20 miles away from their station. Yep. And there's just not enough EMTs, paramedics, ambulance services to go around.
Yeah. So think about that. And we're talking even people who, maybe live next door to one. If they're not home, they're out getting somebody else out of town.
That's right.
So think about that. Well, staying on this topic, and I know there's a lot more going on. We'll come back to that. But just kind of staying on this topic, volunteer fire departments still struggling. Yep. Getting, even paid positions at, with an ambulance service or whatever, still tough to do.
tough to find the personnel to put in those spots. Paramedics make a fairly decent wage these days. Just can't find people that want the job. Volunteers, that's tough everywhere. There are some fire departments who are striving very nicely due to the number of members that they have, but then there are other smaller ones that it's just there's nobody left in the community. The young people, when they grow up, they don't want to stay in the little towns. They all want to pack up and go to college, and then they're off to bigger and better things. So
and you end up, I know there was probably some fun being poked at volunteer fire departments in the sense like every night it seemed like there was a chicken dinner or bingo or something like that. But you look back now and you go, boy, I kind of miss those days when you could rally a community together.
You could, and it was vital to those fire departments need that to even just put fuel in their trucks. You don't see much of that anymore. It's hard to find a bingo game anymore. Those things kind of just faded off because there's no manpower to do it.
Yeah, and do you know offhand what the cost is for a volunteer fire just to get them the equipment they need?
Well, each firefighter, so you take one firefighter and he's got a helmet, a coat, pants, boots, gloves, every other accessory that goes with it. That costs about $5,000 a person.
Wow.
Then you add the breathing apparatus, which goes on his back, so the firefighters can enter into a smoke-filled environment, and that's about $7,000 a piece. So this is not cheap. Fire trucks right now, just the average fire truck right now is anywhere between $750,000 and $1 million. So it's tough for these fire departments to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't see the ads for that 0% APR financing for 60 months.
yeah, you're right.
See dealer for complete details. Yeah, that's so it's even for volunteer fire departments, it is a costly thing, that again, that's why they had those types of events to raise money. And even then, it sometimes wasn't even close to covering costs.
But for those people out in the public who do go attend the ones that do happen, I ask them to stand back and take a look at the people who are actually running the operation, and you will find it's older people. The fire department I belong to, our average age in our fire department is 55. There's only a handful of young people, but I can show you other fire departments in our county where probably the average age is 65.
Wow.
So it's rough. It's getting tougher.
Yeah. Do you think when people see like the fires in LA and other emergency situations that are taking place, does that inspire anybody to say, hey, you know what, maybe I should be in a position to help?
Well, there are people who start asking questions. I have yet to see anybody pop out of the woodwork and do it. But yeah, that does spark a lot of questions as to, is there something in my community I can do to help?
Because you never know. You just never know what could happen.
No, you just have not a clue what might happen next. So yeah, it does raise a few questions from people.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned just the communication part. What other things have you guys been working on?
Believe it or not, the Crawford County Fair is shaping up for 2025. What an amazing bunch of people on that fair board. When you sit down at their meetings and listen to, there's a person in charge of rabbits and a person in charge of pigs and a person in charge of goats and sheep and cattle, and it's amazing what they pull together, let alone the people who are in charge of amusement rides and acts for the stage, and it is quite an undertaking, but they really do a fantastic job. Every last one of them. I'm amazed at every meeting I go to how well coordinated they are.
And it seems like there's been quite a focus on budgets and making sure everything is affordable, and that you're not losing money or the fair board's not losing money. Right.
That's absolutely correct. How much do you charge at the gate to let people in, and how much do you charge for a concert, and how that's all got to be planned out, and they plan it out pretty good. Some people may think the price is a little too high, but you got to keep the gates open too. So there's a lot of bills to pay come the end of the fair. Especially just look at utilities alone. How much electric does it take to run that fair?
Yep.
So it's high.
You get those gerbils going in the barns and generate some electricity there. Would people be surprised to know that the fair board meets every month?
Yep.
Okay.
They do.
They think what July comes around and all of a sudden
and all of a sudden they pop up a fair.
Right.
But what you don't realize is the fair board meets once a month. They have committee meetings once a month and a general meeting once a month. But all those little different areas I told you about, such as the animals, and they meet on their own and coordinate that. There's a lot involved with this. That just most people show up at the fair and think they're having a great time, and everybody showed up. Nobody did nothing, but a lot of work goes into it.
Yeah. How much time spent like on the wrap-up meetings for the year? Is there a lot, or is it, hey, here's the things that we need to address, and now we're moving on to next year?
The wrap-up for the fair, they have it down so well that it's not a lengthy meeting. Here are the spreadsheets. This is what happened. This is what we need to do, and they get it done.
Well, I think the other I don't say surprise, but if people drive up past the fairgrounds throughout the year, there's something going, whether it's storage or horse races.
Oh, the storage thing is huge. I mean, hundreds of people literally store their campers, their boats, their on that fairgrounds during the winter months. In the summertime, there's horse shows constantly up there, and there's a multitude of other people who rent the facility up there. The fair is actually in July having a truck pull just as a fundraiser for them. So that'll be going on. That'll be advertised here pretty soon.
Wow.
So yeah, there's always something going on up there.
Do people go through your office or another office to get information on renting space up there?
You can go through the commissioner's office.
Okay.
Yeah, you can talk to one of the ladies in our office, and they'll help you out with that.
All right. Let's do this real quick. You're watching the Morning Drill on Stream TV and on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel. Crawford County Commissioner Scott Schell with us here this morning. So, fair is being discussed, which is great. Weather's starting to break.
Yep. People
are getting excited about that. And, of course, there's a lot of planning for that. I don't think people also realize how much time the 4-H families put in to the fair. We talk to guests all the time who are working on projects to submit for the fair. So, people do get excited.
It's huge. You just even the people that man the home show buildings.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing effort on all their parts to put that together. Because as you know, there's whether it's the animals or the home show buildings or whatever, there are hundreds of people who participate with exhibits. Putting exhibits in. So, yeah, pretty in depth.
Well, that's great. And then that's not even discussing like the food and some of the entertainment that goes on. So
yeah, that's my favorite part of the fair right there. The food. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think every night you could probably eat something different.
Yes, you can.
Every day. So, okay. Anything else going on that you guys are discussing? I know if people catch the meetings on Armstrong, they'll see department heads coming up and giving reports, and there's voting. Sometimes I think people miss that there are discussions that happen in other parts of the day. You're just voting on things. It's not like you guys are all voting.
Well, we have a work session.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the following week we have the actual business meeting. So the work session, which is not televised but is aired, you can hear what projects are coming up. But in the meantime, between all those meetings, we're meeting with those department heads so they can explain to us the project in full. They just don't walk in and say, I need X amount of money for this, and we say yes. They come and talk to us about it.
Do people ask you about that? Do they say, hey, we saw you guys vote yes or no on this stuff? And there's really
that's already discussed. That has to be done ahead of time. Otherwise, that meeting would go on forever. Yeah.
How much do the three of you like to, are there certain things the three of you like to tackle together? And are there things that you guys like to kind of take on your own?
There are, the departments of the county are divided up amongst the three of us. Eric handles human services, and he kind of oversees the finance unit and a multitude of other things. Mr. Seeley has the planning and GIS, and he also has the courts. I'm over public safety. I'm over the correction facility, and over the clerk of courts. So we all kind of go our own way, but we all sit down. We sit down every Monday morning, the three of us, and discuss which direction we're all headed for the week. So
that's got to be a fascinating meeting just to kind of get caught up on everything.
It's a good meeting. It's an interesting meeting. But Monday morning is when we just take time to everybody lay your cards on the table, so to speak.
Yeah. What when you're out and about, what are you hearing from the public? What are they asking you? Do you find that the questions they're asking is sort of relevant to what's going on, or are they getting information from other places? Or
I think a lot of people just listen to the rumor mill, so to speak. On projects such as the P25 radio system, we've had people in our office complaining about it. And once we explain the whole situation to them, they're like, "Oh, well, all we heard we were spending millions of dollars and for no reason whatsoever." People don't get all the facts. They just do not get all the facts before they see us. But then again, there's a multitude of people who think the commissioners handle more than what that we handle things down at the municipal level. People call me. I got a phone call yesterday about a traffic light. I'm like, it's not. I have no control over traffic lights in your city. I just don't. But we do get a lot of calls pertaining to, and we try to help them and head them in the right direction that they need to go. But yeah, we get calls that are not within our jurisdiction.
Yeah. Well, and, I guess with that being said, do you get calls from mayors, city council members from other municipalities saying, "Hey, is this something that you guys do, or is this something that we're supposed to handle?"
Yeah, we do get calls from governing bodies of municipalities, and we can usually send them in the right direction as to if we can't answer their question, we know somebody who can. But they do touch base with us. We also attend the borough association has their dinners and meetings. We go to that. We try to go to the townships. Just to say we're here, what can we help you with? And yeah, that's constant. So
it seems like obviously the budget is a tough thing, and you just got done with that a couple months ago. But it's something that you have to be aware of, every month, and you're being, things are being discussed, and these department heads that are coming up, when they gave you information for the budget, that doesn't factor in emergency situations.
That does not factor in emergency situations, and we have several departments who have vehicles, and the maintenance department, which requires a lot of equipment. We have the jail or the 911 center that when you're housing as many inmates as we're housing. If the refrigerator breaks down, you have no choice but to get another refrigerator or fix that one. Those types of things. And it's no different than your own house.
Yeah.
You have unexpected expenses at home, and the county runs the same way. But you have to be prepared for that, and you can't budget that. You just can't.
Yeah. It makes it challenging, and I know that the goal is not to raise taxes or try to keep things as minimal as possible. But it's challenging, isn't it?
It's very challenging, and the prior board of commissioners and in this term's commissioners, we've managed to go several years without a tax increase, and we'll try to keep it at that. But unfortunately, we all got to face this. Eventually, there's got to be something of a tax increase. We still have to pay for the same services everybody else does. So,
and those services are going up.
Yes, they are.
Well, the fair is something that seems like it never goes away in terms of conversation, right?
Oh, no, it never does.
But also, it just seems like we got through an election, and now you got a primary coming up.
Yeah, and that's Mr. Commissioner Seeley oversees voter services. And I assist him with some of that. We'll have a great staff in the voter services office. They're fantastic at what they do. People are getting their petitions filed at this time. It's mostly now we do have the county treasurer and the clerk of courts. That's the two county offices running this time. The rest of it's going to be school board or local council people, township supervisors, that
magistrates.
Type of stuff. Yeah. So your ballot's going to be quite full, depending on where your area is.
What do you say? I know so much attention gets placed on the presidential election, but these races are so important.
Yes, they really are. That people don't realize that. There's a high number of people who only vote in presidential elections. That always amazes me. And the rest of the years, they don't even care to participate in anything. But your local races are vitally important, and people need to get out there and understand what each candidate stands for and what they want to do with your municipality.
Yeah. What, May 20th is primary?
Yes.
All right. When do you start checking machines and all of that?
That's already done. That's
Okay.
That's upkept every 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, it's there's a whole staff from the IT department and the voter services office, and all those machines are gone over every 3 months to make sure battery levels are okay and that nobody has tampered with anything. It's a pretty intense process, but the thing about it is there's only so many people permitted to do those. So, and I think that's a great idea. Limit the number of people who can actually touch those machines.
Well said. Crawford
Yeah.
County Commissioner Scott Schell. Good to see you. Thank you for your time this morning.
Not a problem. It's a pleasure all the time.
All the best.
Yeah.